Hi, Evan. It's nice to meet you. I'm glad you came down to see me today. My name's Mrs. Nilsson, and I am your counselor. And I'm excited to maybe get to know you a little bit better and find out what you might need from me, if you need any help from me. I've noticed that you have lots of classes that you like. Can you maybe tell me about one of the classes that you like?
I like math because he really doesn't make me do a whole lot.
So you have which teacher?
That would be Mr. Winger.
Mr. Wingert. So you like him because he doesn't make you do very much. So do you feel like you're learning math in his class?
Yeah.
And you like to put the numbers together and maybe figure out the answer or solve the problem?
Yeah, we've been working on absolute value.
Oh. Do you want to tell me a little bit more about absolute value? I'm not quite sure I know what absolute value is.
I think absolute value, if I remember right, is the distance that a number is from 0. So if it's -6, it's 6, and if it's +6, it's 6 also.
Wow.
Which is different than being an opposite.
Wow, that is amazing. You must like math. So I looked at some of your other classes, and maybe those other classes you don't like as well. Maybe English. Can you tell me a little bit more about your English class?
Well, she's very strict. Mrs. Barnes makes me not talk to other kids. She doesn't like it when I come in a little bit late. I feel like she's always on my case, and I just don't feel like working in her class.
Is there, have you tried to talk to Mrs. Barnes at all?
She and I don't even get along. It's hard for me to talk to her.
So I have noticed that you have missed a lot of her classes.
Yeah,
maybe have had a problem with attendance in her class.
Yeah, it's the first period of the day, and sometimes I just don't like going there.
So I realize that you do like math, and that's great because math will help you in the future. I do think English will help you in the future too. I think being able to have good skills to write, to make a resume, to be able to communicate with people, I think those are good skills too. So how do you get to school in the mornings?
My dad drops me off.
So when your dad drops you off, are you usually on time for school, or are you...
Yeah, I'm usually on time.
So if you're on time to school, where do you go once you get to school?
I don't want to say.
So, is it that you don't want to say because you don't know how to explain yourself?
No, I just don't want to say.
So, are you alone when you're missing class?
I don't want to say anything about missing class.
Okay, so are there any other classes that you miss?
It's just easier with that class because it's the first one of the day.
Okay, do you come to breakfast in the mornings?
Yes.
So you're usually here to be able to get breakfast, and I've seen you at breakfast some days when I'm coming in. I see you do have some friends that you sit with at breakfast, so that's really good because your friends can help you feel comfortable.
Yeah, I have some good friends.
So who are your friends? Are they kids in your class, or are they...
No, I like hanging with Brooklyn. I like to be around her. I think we're starting to go steady now.
Oh. So then does Brooklyn have a first period class too?
Yeah,
And so does she have English also with Mrs. Barnes, or does she have a different teacher? Do you know?
different teacher.
She has a different teacher.
She has science first period.
She has science. So, do you ever go to walk her to her class in the mornings? Do you ever do that?
I'd rather not say.
Okay. So does Brooklyn have math too? Is she in Mr. Wingert's math class? Do you know? What classes does she like?
She's his student aide during my period.
Oh, so you do see her in there then.
Mm-hmm.
Then does she have math with another teacher?
Uh-huh.
Well, that's good. So, how are things going at home? Does your mom know that you have been missing a lot of your English class?
My mom or my stepmom?
Either one. Which one do you live with the most?
Stepmom. My mom lives in Florida.
Okay. So do you have very much contact with your mom?
I don't like to talk to her.
Okay, so maybe you don't get along with her that much, or you just don't get to see her that much?
I just don't like her that much. I lived with her for a long time, but I don't like it there.
Okay. So can you help me understand what you don't like about living with your mom?
That's why I moved out here, and I'd rather not talk about that either.
Okay. Okay, it sounds like maybe you made a good choice to come out here and live with your dad then.
Yeah.
Yeah? Well, that's great. And do you get along with your stepmom pretty good?
I want to be an EMT.
Oh, you do? That's great. And what is it that you like about being an EMT? Can you explain that to me?
You're helping others,
Oh.
and you help them even though it's physically they're hurt in some way, so you get to help them.
So have you ever helped someone, or has someone ever helped you? In the way, like maybe you broke your arm or you had to get stitches.
Yeah.
Has that happened to you before?
I've had to go to the doctor for those things.
And is that when you decided maybe you wanted to be an EMT?
Well, they let me go to a class every Wednesday night, and I get to work with them, and they do a lot of neat things. We learn how to roll up fire hoses. We learn how to when somebody's trapped in the car, how to cut it apart and pull them out. It's just neat stuff.
Wow.
I really like doing those things.
Yeah, it sounds like you're lucky. How did you get that opportunity to do that?
Well, I think my dad met one of the guys there, and they talked, and there's a few of us that are able to go over there.
Wow. That really is. That's really neat that you can do that, because you're pretty young to have that opportunity.
Yeah, I really know it.
So, do you think that being an EMT, you'll have to study? Like, you'll have to maybe get good grades to be able to do that?
Yeah, but grades don't count until I'm in the 9th grade. That's the way I see it right now.
Okay. So, when you go to your class on Wednesday nights, do they practice some different kind of skills and techniques?
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me? You told me about the fire hoses. What else do they?
They teach you how to carry a ladder. They teach you how to use the fire hose on and off. They teach you a lot of first aid. We go to a lot of classes with first aid. Just that kind of stuff. It's really neat.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting. So, why do you think they have you practice those things? Why do you think the EMTs there practice, like carrying a ladder? Why did they do that?
Obvious, and I know where you're going with this.
You do?
Yeah.
Can you tell me more about that?
Well, you're going to compare it to English and how I need to be better at English.
So do you feel like the firemen, though, they do carry the ladders for practice so that when they get to a situation, they'll be ready?
Yes.
So do you think possibly maybe doing your English could be
Yeah.
like that in the future? Could be
I
something
know
that could
it's
help
supposed
you?
to be that way, and I know it's, but I just don't like the teacher.
Okay. So have you ever, is the work that she does, do you understand the work that she does in class?
Yeah, but yeah, some of it.
So what's maybe one thing that you've done in English this year that maybe you did like? Maybe even just a little bit. Did you read a novel? Did you
Well,
write about something? Did you get to write about your experience with being an EMT?
no, she's never done that. But I can write argumentative papers. I think I'm pretty good at that. That's okay. I like doing that.
So you like taking a side and figuring it out?
Mhm.
That's great. So you've worked on some of those argumentative papers this year?
Yeah.
So really it sounds like you can do the work and you understand the work. It does sound like maybe you just don't, your personality maybe just doesn't get along with Mrs. Barnes. Would you say that
Yeah.
would be a fair
Mhm.
idea about that?
Yeah.
So, is there a way that you can work with Mrs. Barnes? Would you be okay if I talked to her and told her about your EMT and maybe see if there's any way you could work on writing a paper about
Yeah, that'd be good.
your
I'd like to do
EMT
that.
or an argument for or against being EMT?
Oh, it's obvious we need EMT, so I could make that very easy paper.
Okay. Well, that sounds great. So, are there certain things you learn in class that helps you to write better? Like, do you take notes? I think I remember hearing that the English teachers at our school do a thing called Foursquare notes. Do you know what the Foursquare notes are?
Yeah.
So, could you tell me a little bit more about those? I've just heard they do them, but I'm not really sure what they are exactly, what you do with the Foursquare notes.
Just put notes in each square.
In each square?
Yeah.
That's great. Do the squares have different meanings?
I can't remember.
Oh, okay. So it sounds like you've done a little bit of work with that.
Yeah.
So, if maybe I could talk to Mrs. Barnes and maybe we could figure out a way to write some papers that you're a little bit more interested in. Do you
Do you
think
know
that
what they're
would?
having for lunch today?
Do you know if that would? I don't. I don't know what they're having for lunch today. I think there's a calendar. Maybe let's look on the calendar in just a minute. That's a great idea. That's a great idea.
Okay.
Let me just ask you one more question, and then we'll just see if we can look on the school website and look on the calendar.
Okay.
Okay. So, if I could talk to Mrs. Barnes, and and talk to her about you maybe writing your papers a little bit differently, do you think that would
Yeah.
make it easier to maybe come and do your work?
I'm okay with that.
Okay, I'll do that. So should we look and see what's for lunch then?
Yeah. Can we?
Okay, let's look and see. Oh, it looks like it's chicken nuggets. Do you like chicken nuggets?
They're okay.
They're okay. What's your favorite lunch?
I go to the salad section usually.
Oh, you like the salads. That's
Only because the line's small. I get
Oh.
out a little bit. I'm far away from the lunchroom, and all the lines are crowded, so I usually grab the salad.
Well, I hope you have a good lunch today. And I'm going to talk to Mrs. Barnes. And would it be all right if we talk again and talk a little bit more about?
Yeah. Can you take me out of her class when you talk to me?
I don't want to take you out of class if you're already missing her class. Maybe I could just take you out a few minutes